You, just you, building your app on base 44. Describe it.
Markowe laptopy z systemem operacyjnym w zestawie z ładowarką i 24-miesięczną gwarancją.
Welcome to GTC!
AI has moved from experimental to essential. No question, this is the place to be if you want.
A very warm welcome everybody to the road to EWC here for the Dota 2 Southeast Asia Department of Things. Permasneeze and Winter taking you through the last day of the action. In case you missed all of it, we've already had games going on the past 2 days between 8 teams fighting for one singular slot. Winter. It's brutal out here. But at the end of it all, today we have 3 teams remaining. Reconyx, Execration, and Glyph standing at the very edge of making their way to Paris. One day or another, it's gonna be a bloodbath. So Winter, I mean, we've had all these teams already fighting out. On top of that, today morning, just a couple hours ago, fresh new patch just completely shaking everything up. I mean, I don't know what to expect coming into today.
Yeah, the patch actually mostly nerfed a lot of the heroes that are picked a lot. I mean, they were minor nerfs here and there, but I think overall, some of the heroes are probably not going to be like A-lister anymore. I think, for example, Clockwork, I don't know if he's still going to be an A-lister. He's still pretty good, but we'll see, you know, what teams, how teams interpret the changes here. But it's going to be very, very fun for sure for all the viewers.
Yeah, of course. Speaking of the fun that unfortunately we missed out on a little bit because we're only streaming this last day. The tournament's gone on for quite a bit already. We have the typical closed qualifier format. 2 open qualifier teams made it through alongside the 6 invited, and of course it was double elimination throughout. So you see later on that, you know, many of the matches have already been played, but at the end of it, it's only one team coming out of Southeast Asia. Of course, that doesn't count the fact that OG has already made it through direct qualification, so that's at least a bit of Southeast Asia representation there. But we have the teams that were contending for this slot: Reconyx, Glyph, Execration, D Family, Direborn, Carstens, Mentality Monster, and Grindback. So really, not very many familiar names in terms of the organizations we've known in Southeast Asia throughout the past few years.
Yeah, mostly new stacks. I'm not sure if they are all like orgs, but yeah, a lot of new names, but a lot of players are still the cookie cutter C players that have been grinding for the last couple of years. You know, you can see like the bracket here. If you're looking for upsets, I think probably not a lot of upsets. Yeah, like I think a lot of people will be expecting Glyph to get to the end here together with Reconyx. I mean, Reconyx is in the losers brackets now, so they still have to work their way there. This is something that I think most people would expect, you know, like having Execration, Reconyx, and Glyph. Maybe not so much Execration, but Reconyx and Glyph on the last day is kind of to be expected.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think the biggest question mark for me was Grindback, right? I thought they had some pretty decent regional showings. Of course, in case you missed it, Grindback are the team with Nico and 23 Savage, with a few components from the former Ivory side in Ken, Tiki, and Q, of course. But for them to drop out in lower bracket round 1 was a bit of a surprise to me. I know Carstens are a strong team, but, you know, you could argue either way, right? Like, both teams are really strong, it's a fierce bracket, but it's all led us to this, today's schedule. Execration versus Reconyx, in the lower bracket, like you already mentioned, fighting for a slot in the grand finals. That's gonna be a full best of 5. That'll be a whole lot of fun. But first, we gotta talk about our first match of the day. It's Execration Reconyx. Now, you already mentioned Reconyx, people are expecting them to make it here, but Execration, very much a household name in Southeast Asia. Do you think people were not expecting them to do so well? What's your opinion of this team right now, with Akashi fresh in and March joining them as a coach?
They've been, I think, on a rut for the last couple of months. I don't think a lot of people would have expected them to get to this point. I think they did pretty well in the upper brackets. They beat D Family, they beat Direborn. They only went down to Glyph, and it was also a very, very hard-fought series against Glyph. You know, so I definitely did not have Execration getting to the lower bracket final, or even the upper bracket final, at least for me, in my radar. So this is definitely a very, very big surprise.
Yeah, of course, maybe it just needed a bit more time, right? Because Execration, for what felt like the better part of the entire season, they were running with Palos as their carry, Leon Arthur as their coach. But now, they've switched things up. Like I already mentioned, at least on Execration, they have brought in a new carry player, Akashi, who... I don't know how you would compare him to Palos, but Akashi to me feels a bit more stable, where Palos had higher highs and lower lows. Right, and then now instead of Leon Arthur, you have March coming in. March brings a whole lot of experience. He's been around the block in Southeast Asia, so maybe that's a bit more of a working recipe for the remaining 4 members of Execration to make work.
Yeah, Akashi and Palos definitely very, very different players, I would say. Felt like Execration, they always have this, I think, stigma on them where they are a very unstable team. One game you see them, oh, they look like a team that could potentially go far, you know, at the LAN events. But the next moment, you see them losing to some new stack in Southeast Asia, and you're questioning yourself, is this the same Execration I saw last week, you know?
Yeah.
But hopefully with Akashi in right now, they have a little bit more stability. I think so far in their earlier games, we've seen them, I think, a lot more reliable as a team. You don't see the crazy dives that was more common with Palos, but I think the team is a lot more, I think, solid right now. Whereas for Reconnix, I think they're always the team that has their own style, you know. I think as far as SEA teams, Reconnix has their own hero pool. They have very, very unique picks. With the patch, you know, I think they're one of the teams that are gonna probably have a higher chance of bringing in something interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm pretty sure Mind Control and the boys from Indonesia cooking stuff up since the patch dropped. We'll have to keep an eye out for them though, because of course they managed to make it to Dream League Season 29, but they didn't manage to show much of a convincing performance. It was probably a disappointing one for them. But as with participation in any of these major tournaments, especially the European tournaments, you not only are rubbing shoulders with the top dogs, you're also getting good quality EU pubs, EU scrims in. Hopefully that's empowered them to maybe take control here. Of course, coming through the lower bracket, not where you want to be. You want to be sitting pretty in that grand finals, just, you know, eating your popcorn, watching what the teams are going to do, perhaps stealing a bit of the strats. But Reconnix not too deterred by some of the nerfs that Storm received. Will first pick him Execration, go for that Treant Protector that they've already been valuing throughout this close qualifier so far.
To co? Zgłaszasz się? Pracuj.pl. Najłatwiejszy pierwszy krok.
What if you could make a song using...
Yeah, this hero suddenly got a lot of popularity. I don't know if it's the same every region. I don't check. I know in C people have been popular. People have been picking this hero a lot due to the fact that a lot of the carries that are good right now, they are range heroes. I think namely Drow. Drow is a very, very... Well, I don't want to say new, but she's recently entered the beta in the competitive games. And then you always have the Bin Runner, and then you always have the SFs, the Lunas. So Treant Protector just kind of feels like a very solid cost 5 hero at the moment.
Yeah. We've also seen Execration, at least in the games that they've played in this close qualifier so far, the way that they win tends to be around macro play, right? Whether they are using this Treant or whether they're picking their Chen, seems to be, you know, a hero that only this team is running with. They're all about those item timings, all about pushing together, death balling, and if not, they're just kind of manipulating the map. Treant Protector is an excellent support at that, not just securing the lane, but that living armor, such a big factor. Reconnix, you're gonna have to look into some sort of dedicated way of taking down these objectives. If not, you're not gonna get a single tower.
I mean, it's also the gate ganking. I think gate ganking has been part of the game for quite some time right now. If you look at the position 5 hero pool, I would say Tree and maybe Phoenix, they are the 2 best gate gankers right now. So having this type of gate gank pressure is definitely going to be very useful in the game. It's very common for teams to just put Op Sentry on the gates at the moment. And I would like to also talk a little bit about like the Radiant Dire differences of the gate ganks. I think on Dire as Treant, if you play Treant, you will know. It's actually harder to gate gank because when you walk down the gate, the tower actually, you get in range of the tower true sight, so it's harder for you to find an angle to attack. Whereas on Radiant, if you're on Radiant as Treant and you're gate ganking the Dire side, it's easier because you get to walk outside of the tower true sight radius.
Right. So there's just basically a safe zone for you to hide in before you actually spring your surprise.
Yes.
Yeah, that's kind of a big deal. Well, we'll see whether Execration are able to.
I mean, they're on Dire, so it's worse for them.
Well, it'd still be I'd assume it'd still be a thing where, let's say, if they brought the pause 4 over and then the 3 and set it up.
Yeah, but there's also the thing I noticed about the Radiant Dire win rates, but Radiant has a 4 to 5% extra win rate over Dire in hubs, so that's also a pretty sizable advantage in the recent patch. People always attribute that to, oh, your brain works left to right, so Radiant will always have a significant higher advantage because of this reason. I don't know how true is that. I know there's somewhat certain amount of truth to that, but is it entirely because of the left to right reason? I don't know. I think it has something to do with the way the map is positioned as well. The macro play.
10 seconds remaining.
Maybe I feel like people make the left to right argument because a majority of languages are written left to right. What if you study a language that reads right to left? What if you're Japanese? What if you're like speaking Arabic or Japanese? It's gonna be a different story, right? So you're telling me the Japanese players would probably be favored on die or something like that? Well, I need to, you know what I mean? Because the left to right is very much a language reading, just kind of comprehension thing, right? So if you shift that social setting, it might be a different story, but of course none of that here today. Lich and Tusk, a very strong trio already gathering around the mid lane, so you can see Reconyx, it's exactly what they want to do. They want to bring those supports in, they want to secure those runes for the Storm Spirit. When you 8-pick the Storm, that's generally what you want to do. You don't want to leave him out to dry, but especially against Execration, it feels so important to shut down King Bob.
Yeah, he's gonna get. I feel like there's gonna be a Dawn or Underlord coming at 18. Yeah, it's gonna be here. Storm plus Dawn, I think probably one of the more solid combinations right now. In the team fights, Global Presence and Execution, they have the Ember Spirit to kind of answer the Storm. He did get nerfed. I feel like Ember is one of the heroes that got quite a big nerf in the current patch today.
Yeah,
he lost some damage from the Slide, and he also lost some effectiveness from Mage Slayer. Because Mage Slayer is something that you always see Ember Spirit players go for. So the hero definitely took a pretty sizable nerf, but still a very good matchup into Storm, the Slide Chains, to catch the Storm to set up for a kill. But usually you see Storm Spirits, they will buy Guarding Reefs against Ember Spirit. I don't know if it's going to be still a thing. I know a couple of months ago it was like a standard thing.
Yeah.
You play Storm, you're against Ember, you default Guardian Greaves.
Especially with the Underlord pick, that's basically 3 roots at this point. You're going to need a Dispel one way or another. And buying a BKB, popping that when you just get chained is not going to be nice. So we'll see what Storm Spirits go for. Some of them have actually opted to go for the Manta style instead, building that early Yashakaya, disassembling, and then having that option. But that's a bit of a later purchase, right? It won't be a first item situation. So Reconyx, they are now dealt with a hand where their Storm Spirit will not necessarily have the best early game. You got a Wind Ranger to boot that up. Could be a pause 1, could be a pause 4. I like this decision here from Execration to keep things open. Also, just a lot of good follow-up damage into the 3 roots that they already have.
Yeah, the Wind is actually very nice here. It could act as a flex. Pause 4 slash carry. It's very good with the Treant Protector in the lane. If you pick an offlaner that counters the Wind here, I'm sure the Execution will just gladly put the Wind as a position 4 hero. So Reconyx, they're probably going to have to just try to pick something that's very good with that lineup, like I suggested. The Dawn with Storm, that's very nice. I think it's also one of FBC's comfort heroes right now. If you look at his pub games, he's playing a lot of Dawn. But what on earth am I looking at? This? What was the buff? He got a small buff, right?
Indeed. It feels like it shouldn't matter
mana.
so much. 10 mana on the Blade Fury, and apparently that's enough to pick this hero.
Well, why?
10 seconds.
Why?
I don't know.
Okay, so there's a couple of reasons why Juggernaut I think is good here.
5 seconds remaining.
He's very strong with the Lich in the lane. Classic, Lich Jug.
Yeah.
You have Blade Fury to get yourself out of the roots. You build Manta, so you have double Dispel. His ulti has Dispel too, right? Let me check. So he has triple Dispel. Juggernaut, Omni Slash. Yeah, basic Dispel. So he has 3 ways of dispelling on his kit. Manta, Spin, and Omni Slash. So I can see why he wanted to go Jug here. And the Jug and Tusk is also kind of like I think a pretty solid combination. You get Roche, you get Tormentor easily with the tag team. Even in the team fights, if you can just blink next to the Jug, you Omni Slash the target and you just pop your tag team and you blink next. It's not something commonly done as Tusk, but you can do it.
I think I just don't really believe in this hero, if I'm being honest with you, Winter, because yes, I can see the applications.
Bro,
The dispel sounds good and all.
Relax. Let's just let the player show us what the new patch is all about.
Yes.
I don't think
man, of course, they gotta show us some shit, Winter. That's exactly what we're gonna see. Okay, hear me out, Winter. I just think there are some games that look very obviously like great jug games, and for me, the biggest criteria for that is how much can the Omni Slash do, right? If you're thinking about who he can Omni Slash, the Underlord is a great target until maybe he gets something like a Lotus Orb. But other than that, Ember Spirit can Remnant away, Wind Ranger can Wind Run, Treant Protector, you know, if you catch him off vision and whatnot, maybe you get the slashes off, but he has Living Armor to help as well, typically get some survivability items as well. So I'm not seeing a picture where Reconyx can just jump in with this Juggernaut, Omni Slash someone and win the fight that way, and when I see that, it concerns me a little bit. Like, how is this Jug going to scale? There's still quite a bit of magic damage. Execration can connect very quickly. Jug can hit towers, but not very convincingly either. So all these reasons starting to stack up, I'm not really feeling too confident.
How about you look at this from another angle, Mike? How is Execration actually killing the Jug? Like, try to think not just, okay, the Jug connects to the heroes because of so and so reason.
Sure.
But how is Execration killing the Jug? This is also another angle that you have to look at. It's not easy for their heroes to lock down and full to zero a Jug. I mean, if you're looking at carry options, usually you need to pick like something like Ursa, Faceless Void, Tower Hero. But I don't know if those heroes are good with the Treant Protector in the lane. And so against range carries, I think Juggernaut pretty solid here. And they have to round up their lineup on the Reckoning side with the FBZ hero. He doesn't have his Timber, he doesn't have his Dawn, but he still has his Brew, Brewmaster if he wants to go for it.
He also does like Primal Beast a lot, even though I don't know if it's that great this game.
It's not
kind of
bad.
awkward into Ember.
It's good against Treant Protector. In the lane.
Okay, here's the Brew.
He just goes for his trusty Brewmaster, which got it's a very slight buff. They increased the, I believe it's the slow from Thunder Trap.
Yeah. Just general slow increase across the board. I have a feeling the Execration are going to go for something like a Lion here. Just my gut.
The innate, they buffed the innate, so what? It went from 2.5 to 3%.
Remaining.
Yeah.
It probably doesn't matter for the lane. It just matters for the mid lane game. So it's kind of whatever.
It's nice. You know, you're not going to turn down a small look. But yeah, I was thinking maybe this current setup, you could just go Wind Ranger safe lane with the Treant, and then you pick something like a Lion, right? Because you talk about needing to burst down the Jug.
I think Weaver is also kind of good. Weaver is very good against Jug and Brew.
Weaver.
Oh, that's why they pay him the big. That is why, ladies and gentlemen, they pay him the big bucks. Winter Dota calling that pick perfectly. Akashi Weaver. I feel like this hero has just been drowned out amidst all the other carry picks. He got a slight buff to the Threads of Fate. So now that when he applies the Threads of Fate, the slow goes up double. It used to be 0.2 seconds, and then now it's 0.4. So it's literally half a second of slow, which is a significant buff. It's a significant buff, but I'm just interested to see how it's going to play out, because it's not like it's necessarily going to help lock down some of these heroes. Like Brewmaster, he has the Liquid Courage, Jug is always going to be spinning anyway, and Storm has his Zips, right? So we'll see how Akashi can make it work. Execration, a pretty aggressive lineup, all things considered. But Reconyx, they have their fair share of skirmishing as well. Is there a side that you favor going into this game, number one, Winter?
I feel like the last pick definitely is going to throw Reconyx a curveball, how to deal with this Weaver. I think before the last pick, I would say maybe I would be okay siding the Reconyx side. I think they have a very solid lineup, good team fight. There's some decent catch from the Tusk and the Storm. They have good sieging with Juggernaut. I think overall they have a very solid lineup, but do they have a way to deal with this Weaver? That is the curveball execution just true at Reconyx. You can try to buy Orchid on Brew. I've seen some Brewmasters do that, thanks to 33, you know, he's pioneered that build.
What they paint on the streets is not just art, but the roar of "Watch me do it." 163 lands burning with passion. 10 million artists daring to create.
At this game, they might have to figure out some solutions for the Weaver. If they don't buy Orchid on either Storm or Brew, I could see this Weaver getting too out of control in this game. He's going to have like a very, I think, good start in the laning phase, very good mid game. because there's no solid catch to kill him. Lich and Tusk, they do not have a lot of tools to deal with the Weaver in the early game.
Yeah, I guess the question is how much it matters, right? Because when you get to the late game, does Weaver really scale nicely to what the side of Reconics have? Because Weaver always strikes me as the type of hero that plays a little bit more on the tempo, you know, you're trying to go fast, you're trying to put pressure on early.
I mean, Weaver late games, I would say that it's decent against the Jug because you can time-lapse away the Omni Slash. But Weaver is not the best, I think 1 versus 1. If you just stand your ground and fight, you're not the best hero. You're very good at kiting the fights, taking long, drawn-out fights.
30 seconds to battle.
I think late game, I would say that I probably would favor the comic side with the Jug, the Storm, the Brewmaster, with their scaling. Like even Lich, Lich is insane hero.
Lich is crazy.
He didn't get any changes, right? He's still the same?
I think so. I just got to do a quick check.
Yeah,
no changes. Okay, so I just wanted to, before we get off to the races here, Winter, I remember an interview that we actually had with Boo from Mouse. He mentioned before, now this was back at ESL 1 Birmingham, so it was a while back, but I don't think these two heroes have changed significantly. He said that the Weaver, even though it's a strong lane matchup into the Brewmaster, the Weaver doesn't really stop the Brew from doing what he wants in the game. And I can kind of see what he's saying. So I feel like even with this last pick Weaver, you know, you're talking about how Reconics, how are they going to kill him? How are they going to do it? I don't know whether they'll be too concerned because they have a pretty nice mid-game timing themselves, right? They run with the Jug and then maybe 2-3 items and then FBZ's got the Blink Split. It's going to be pretty difficult for Execration to run up into the Team 5 Reconics in my mind.
And they have the map pressure with Underlord plus Ember Spirit. You go around the map and then you have the like they are playing a different game. The train is going to be walking around the map trying to look for pickouts. They have 2 Indies heroes. They have Ember and Global Connect from Underlord. I mean, you could consider Wind Ranger also a pretty good connecting hero because of the cast range from Power Shot. You can always throw a spell from a mile away to help your team. So I think Execration's lineup is looking for more map presence, map play, pickoffs here and there. Even though they do not have the head-on team fight, but I feel like they have other things in their arsenal. The map pressure is going to be very crucial with Underlord.
Okay. So what does success look like here for Execration in this game? What are they hoping to achieve in the early stages?
I would say at least stabilize the lane first. If they don't lose the lane, I think their lanes are a little bit weaker than what Reconics have. So they'll be happy drawing the lanes, I would say. 50-50. So you do not want to get snowballed out of control in the laning phase. And once you get your levels on the tree, on the Underlord, you get your level 6, I think that's when you start to have a very nice way of playing the game, right? You threaten heroes on the side lanes, you can gank them, your Ember Spirit controls runes, you can kill the Storm Spirit with the slide chains, and then you Underlord ulti in with the pit. So there's a lot of things that you can do with your lineup once you get past the laning phase.
Right. Does that mean that it's kind of pressure on Reconics then to try and get something out of these lanes, like get kills, get pressure, get gank, all that stuff? I mean, they're starting the pressure onto Mavis right now. He's taking quite a bit of damage. It's that level 2, living armor won't do the trick though. Akashi's still looking for a potential turnaround kill, has a Shikuchi, try for the chase. The Threads of Fate slowing down FPZ, but it's not going to be enough as the Brewmaster walks away free, first blood drawn for Reconics.
Yeah, this is actually a pretty, I would say already a pretty big disaster. You know, the Treant and Weaver, you are the lane that is supposed to be, I think, on paper stronger than double melee from Tusk and Brew, and the fact that they get first blood, this is a huge blow to Weaver and Treant. You do not pick this lane to give up first blood. You're oftentimes the one getting the first blood in this lane.
Absolutely. Well, at least on the bright side, with the lane pushing in and the resources looking nice, Execration can secure Lotuses on both sides. Bot lane as well, Shanks will be able to snag that away. So Reconics, slight resource disparity here. Mid TP, looks like the Low's looking for a gank. Tusk coming in, forcing the TP out, narrowly surviving there on Bob. That was a very heads-up play from the Ember. His game could have ended in an instant if he died right there.
Oh, it's still pretty bad though, having to TP out. I feel like the Tusk rotation there, even though they didn't get a kill, it still netted them a lot, you know, forcing the Ember to go back to base and bot lane. GRNAD getting pressured a little bit, or Tino getting pressured, I have to say, you know, by the Lich. Level 3 Lich, that's when the nightmare begins.
Yes. Those cross blasts are gonna start hurting. Well, in the case of Bob with the Ember Spirit, you know, he TP'd out, he preserves his life. Would you say maybe it might have been better to die there? Surely not.
No.
It's still, basically you're saying it's still bad, right? It's still
bad. I'm saying that even though he didn't die, but it's still bad.
I hear you. Okay, well, support's rotating over, but not the trio that we expected. Execration are the ones to bring the Wind Ranger and the Treant over to the mid lane first. At least secure one Water Rune for him and deny the Water Rune away from the Storm. It's a good little first step back into recovery. I mean, all things considered, even though he had to TP back, it's not like he's missing out on a lot of C as Bob's only 2 behind the Storm Spirit.
No, this is annoying. This is very, very annoying. And for the Storm Spirit, the Wind Runner just came over, they changed, and they power shot him a couple of times. It's actually pretty annoying. I've seen some players do this in the mid lane, in the early game. I agree that it's one of the more impactful things you can actually do as VR Wind Runner post 4. You go to the rune, you stay there, you wait for your mid laner to set up a power shot, and you just throw your power shot, and then you go back to your
middle tower is under attack.
There's a lot of sneaky things that Execration are doing to try and manipulate the lanes, right? You think about both their supports. Not just the long range of the Wind Runner being able to power shot in the mid, but because Tino's being left alone, technically, he should be in a bad spot. But they have a Treant Protector who's just non-stop living armoring him. So they're kind of upsetting the balance right now with their supports and their global capabilities.
Are you saying Tino has a higher priority than Bob?
I would say that it's a bit of a waterfall effect, because if you need your Wind Ranger to leave Tino, you've got to give him something back. You know, I mean, you can't leave him for dead. So they're just, you know, the power shot would be nice in the bot lane.
We're talking about
but
Bob here, Mike. Bob gets everything. He gets the rune, he gets the support, he gets the living
top
armor.
tower is under attack.
well, at least not the last 2 living armors. Those went over to Tino. They needed to back him up just a little bit. 6-minute runes on the clock. We knew that the support's eyes were going to be on the mid lane, and sure enough, rotations coming through. Sentry already pre-placed. That's going to put CML in a difficult position. Shield rune snagged, but Bob's here to fight. Wanting to try and pressure away the task from Mavis, but he's pretty tanky. That Lotus will save him just a notch. Still chasing on forward. The rune is there. The last minute Lotus from the bot lane. Coming through. Won't stop in your dream though. Now the Frost Shield. Try to help him escape. Not much that Execration can offer to try and get that kill. They'll just have to reset at this point.
Ember doesn't really lose too much here from resetting. You get the TP, put your Remnant down, so he's happy with trades like this. I mean, you can see the Treant Protector's weakness in fighting the runes. The hero doesn't really offer a whole lot in the rune fights. You want to be playing the side lanes. As you can see here, 7 minutes shrines coming up. The Treant TP stop. Ember is making his way onto the top lane.
Yeah, this is a really nice setup. They know that the Treant Protector went down, but that means that Storm doesn't have a lot of resources to contest. Is a Primal Split available from FBZ? This isn't the easiest location to fight. Nothing to stop him from splitting right on top of their faces. Trying to buy as much time as possible. Lich around the corner as well, but they'll do well to focus the lull down first. The Task Force in trouble. Snowball to buy some time. FBZ finally having to split. Things getting a little messy now for Execration. Not sure whether they still want to stick around, but because the Primal Split Rulings don't count as a hero, Bob steals away their shrine and manages to Remnant back. Akashi out of trouble as well, and even though they use the split, Reconics lose out. And FPZ, he's got to be careful. He's got to be escorted back to base. If not, Akashi's going to come hunt him down.
I think there was a slight mistake there by Varys. He should have just went into the ring instead of like trying to use his spell from outside the ring. You know, he tried to use the Sinister's Gaze, or maybe he just didn't really have the read that the boost split is not going to stop the shrine from deactivating. Yeah, I think that was a huge loss for the Reckoning side. You used the split and you didn't get the XP for the supports. This is bad news for Execration. On the other hand, they are very, very happy with the trade. They forced the split, and now we'll see if they can actually make any forward advancements. But they don't get the 8-minute power rune. So the Storm gets the haste run. So this would actually mean that Execration has to be defensive for the next 2 minutes. So maybe the split being used there wasn't such a big deal for the Reconic side.
Yeah, I mean, you say that, but the ideal situation is the Storm secures the rune in the top. You know, you still have the split available, they can actually pressure the top lane, right? But because you don't have that, you can't actually look towards rotating to the Brewmaster. Jigcroy is also a jug, so it's not like you know, anything's gonna happen if you come down bot with a haste rune. You gotta line up something nice. In fact, it looks like it's the Ember who's the first one making the move towards the bottom area of the map. 3 heroes there, though, not
no
looking too compelling.
resource though. Mike, he has no mana.
Can you just run him down?
He was looking for a bounty rune on the enemy side.
Seems that way. So game pretty stable. I mean, Execration, as you said, they've come out of the lanes okay, right? If you look at the net worth, they are behind their counterparts, but it's not a significant disparity by any stretch. All 3 Execration cores are still farming a decent amount.
Yeah, but the Reckoning's cores are slightly ahead of the laning phase. I would say this is due to the fact that they have stronger supports in the laning phase, and here goes the first gank from Akashi.
The Reach might be caught too. And even though the cores are stronger on the side of Reconics, it's the supports who suffered from the loss of that Wisdom Shrine. 2 kills going over to the Weaver's first rotation. Falcon Blade complete and a bit more gold in his pocket. Looks like this tier 1 will go down to boot.
Yeah, this is why I mentioned that the 24 Weaver pick was such a good pick. The supports have no tools of dealing with the Weaver running at you at this stage. You don't have any reliable way of stunning him, locking him down. So the Weaver kind of has free reign in the early game, so he gets the tower here, opening up the map for the Underlord. Underlord has his level 6 ES Fiend's Gate, so a lot of map pressure going to be starting to be applied by the Execration side. Once we get all the tier 1 towers down, Bob gets the rune this time. Catapult wave is coming up. Things are going to start to get spicy for Execration.
Just waiting to see where the next move will be.
Probably the top lane.
Yeah, that route.
I think they should be looking to go top.
Still a bit tricky though, because they don't have a good way of bursting down FBZ before the split comes out.
Still, they want to force the split. They need to make him use it so they can attack the other towers.
Yeah, that's fair. So rushing his way towards the Aghanims.
Here comes Bob. Here comes Bob. He is looking for the Brewmaster.
I wonder whether they saw him on the sentry, because there's a sentry ward combo. I'm not sure whether he got past.
It doesn't matter, they don't see him.
They have to pop a split, looks like. FBZ, how long can you hold on to it? Being reserved at the moment, still got 1 charges, not gonna fall for that silly little poke. Just walking back to his safety of his tower. Chains off the mark, that's unfortunate, yeah. And even if the chains landed, maybe you could have hit a power shot from long range, but unfortunate move there, Execration. They expend quite a bit of time to not really get anything done other than a bit of tower pressure. And FBZ, he's got a salve ready, so he's coming back into the vicinity. Just clearing out that wave.
Now that was insane play by FBZ. Having the awareness to send a south and having the patience not to use the primal split there just made a huge difference in the game. Nothing has happened, but still this play is top tier.
Yeah, this is one of those things where you watch the game, you say, man, Execration wasted so much time, but it's not entirely their fault, right? I feel like they tried to line things up in the best way they could. FBZ, quite literally, by remaining calm, outplayed them in that scenario. Chains off the mark, a little bit of a uncharacteristic mistake there from Bob. I feel like it could have been a kill on the Storm if he was a bit more discerning.
Deny the root? Oh, he tried. Shanks tried.
Here comes the split. Shanks probably has to give up his life for it. And they're gonna try and continue to take this fight. It could be awkward. Bob's starting to run in, putting pressure onto Varij, but Reconics, I mean, this looks like a fight that they're just supposed to win. Though the kiting from Execration is pretty nice. They at least get Shanks out of trouble, and that's another split that feels a little bit wasted, Winter.
Why they kind of stopped the Ember from killing anyone. They removed the Flame Guard with the split. The spell. I mean, this is also something that you don't really talk a lot about, like the Brewmaster against the Ember matchup in the team fights. Early game, Ember does most of his damage through the Flame Guard. So if you can dispel it, you remove it during the early game fights, it actually kind of nullifies the Ember Spirit a lot.
Zip through, looks like a fight. J-Croy showing up, ready to Omni, but careful not to jump over to the creeps. Full cut down, bouncing onto Bob. Bob's got to be careful, Remnant away. Akashi rejoining the fray, but in comes the TP back. FBZ ready to rumble, jumps in forward, double kill for In Your Dream, and now they're looking for more. Shouldn't have any way of locking down Akashi though, but taking down Tino, that's a big deal. It was Execration who were grouping around trying to take this tier 1 tower, but they end up losing 2 heroes instead.
And they wanted to poke because the Brew had no split, so they felt like they had the upper hand in CJ, but their heroes are not the best at taking towers. I think they're really good at playing the map, killing heroes alone. But keeping towers at this point, yeah, probably not the best. They actually paid a huge price there, underestimating the strength of the other heroes from Reckonings, right? Despite not having the blue split, but the Storm plus the Juggernaut there coming in with the Battle Fury Omnis Dash still did a number on the execution side.
Not quite tanky enough yet on Mr. Underlord.
Nope.
To be a bit more discerning, I would say. And I think, honestly, that was excellent play from Mr. In Your Dream, right? It could have been Execration pitting him first and then getting the kill. He doesn't have any way of dispelling that right now. But he chose to zip forward aggressively, completely caught them off guard and wasted that Pit of Malice. So, nice play.
Yeah, he also he didn't go for the Greaves. So he doesn't have a Dispel. He's stuck right now. Double Root. Chain Frost.
It's doing a bit of damage, but I don't think In Your Dream can really afford to stick around. Will zip up to the high ground, but the chain still finds him. Oh, Bob timed that one nicely. Won't let the Storm get away this time. And Execration, they're rewarded for their aggressive maneuver behind the tier 1.
Yeah, that was a blunder from In Your Dream. He definitely needed to use his max range on the zip there. He just zipped like kind of like, I don't know, 200 units, 100 units, thinking that he was safe. And he gets caught by Bob there. I mean, well done, you know, by Bob reading that play, but still, you know, the Storm needed to use all his mana to zip as far away as possible so he doesn't really die there.
Yeah, you could have just, it's one of those things, right? You could have just made the safe play and full zipped out, right? But he stuck around, he tried to Electric Vortex, maybe get a bit cute with it, force some sort of reaction. It wasn't to be. Execration now, restabilizing the game after that tough middle fight. This mid-game timing is still pretty strong for them with the Weaver running around. He's not been stopped so far.
Yeah, but the problem still stands. How are they keeping the Jug? Like, if the Jug is pushing the lanes, how are their heroes going to kill the Jug? You can only hope that the trail is there to root him during the spin so you can control him and kill him, you know. But other than the root from the Train Protector, the other heroes don't really have good ways of killing the Jug unless he just somehow uses the spin on the lane to push the creep wave, and then it presents your team with an opportunity to gank in.
Yeah, I will say, apart from, you know, having to kill the Jug and that being a concern, so far, the Train Protector is doing its job, right? All 3 tier 1 towers have yet to be pressured by Reconics. They don't really have anyone who can walk up and take that convincingly. So they're maintaining a good degree of map control, forcing Reconics into these awkward positions where they're behind tier 1 towers, cutting creeps, or farming the enemy jungle to find space on the map.
Dire's courier has been killed. Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
You can't really tell who this is better for though, if I'm being honest with you, Winter. It kind of feels like both teams are getting a decent amount of what they want.
I think it's better for the Jug, because there's no answer to the Jug late game.
Sure.
There you go, spin TP.
It could have been a little bit risky.
Yeah, we were starting to hurt, not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, if he had just a little bit of damage there, it could have been... You also don't know where the Train Protector is, right? Because you have one deep ward in their jungle, and that's about it. So he could have been lurking around the corner, could have been scary for sure. Look at how aggressively Akashi is farming, man. Oh dear. Chickroy?
Nah, no way he dies here. It's fine.
That was a little scary.
I think he has to be careful though, they know he has no TP. He is...
Yeah?
This guy is insane. That he actually walked to the lane.
He can spin. He can spin.
The confidence, the balls on this guy.
Yeah? Average is dead though. This guy, yeah, he ain't got the same amount of HP. He ain't got the same amount of tools. And meanwhile, In Your Dream making an aggressive play, but will get caught now, rooted up into oblivion, opting to go for the Kaya Sanj first, and yeah, I mean, pays the price for it. No dispel still on that Storm Spirit.
Jedna smaczna tabletka AdTap.
I imagine he needs to buy BKB now. I don't think he can delay it anymore. Kinda sucks to have to buy BKB early on Storm, but with his build, I don't think there's any other way around this, Mike. He has to get some safety in the team fight.
And even if he tries to go for BKB now, it's gonna be a while.
5 minutes, maybe less. He has 1.3k.
And Winter, 5 minutes is enough to take a Roshan.
Okay, fine, right. There's a lot of things you can do in 5 minutes in total.
That's what I'm saying. You can't discount it. It's still a pretty rough situation right now for Reconyx. As much as the Jug is getting everything that he wants, his teammates are starting to suffer a little bit, right? The Storm Spirit, like you said, as soon as he gets rooted, he's gonna get killed. And FBZ, his farm has started to plateau a bit. I feel like most of the times we see some Brewmasters go for something like the Midas to make sure they keep scaling up. But he went for the early eggs, maybe hoping that this would be a good timing for Reconyx to play on. And indeed, they are forcing the mid lane tower with this item timing.
Also the Manta on Juggernaut. So he's gonna be very, very difficult to kill.
Initiation.
Find the Ember.
They need a gaze and they'll find it. Taking down the Ember, catching Akashi as well. They got vision. He needs a time lapse. Won't be threatened to do so for now. Ends up being a 2-for-1 exchange. Both supports went down to the AoE magic damage that Execration have in spades.
Ember didn't get to showcase his AD rune. He actually wanted to take a long fight with the rune, but just got killed off just by the chain. Chain Frost, Gaze, plus the pull from Storm Spirit, just enough lockdown there to take him down. It's very, very unfortunate. That could have been a fight where I felt like Execution could have killed more heroes, not just the double supports on the Reconyx side.
Yeah, for sure. I think if you're Reconyx, you're probably thanking your lucky stars that it didn't go worse for you. The Jug was a bit disconnected from the situation. And yeah, then we're going down. That's a lot of their cheap, I want to say disable, right? The chains, slight chains, very low committal. You can just poke, force a reaction.
Main disable. I think he's the main initiator. You can't really count on Shackle to be your main initiator.
Yeah, that's true. I mean,
the
now you got
root
Aethos.
The pit and the Lord is nice, but yeah. Ideally, you want someone else to start the fight. And the Lord plus Ember Spirit is a very, very nice combination.
Yeah.
You get the pit, you get the slight chains, and then the enemy just takes full duration by summon.
We've seen it before, right? The rise of popularity in the Underlord and Rubik lane. It's just anything that can make you stand in the Firestorm for the full duration. Ooh, you're gonna take a beating. Now, free Tormentor for Execration. Shanks will get himself a Gale Force for free. Very nice.
Yeah, depending who you ask. Truant Protector is not going to think that it's very nice. Bob, he has the regen route.
Got a solo kill on the Lich to start things out. Bait them in and get Delol as well. Execration starting to exert control over the map. This is what you were talking about, Winter. Their lineup is more focused around map play, right? They're going to connect from every angle. Every time you find a solo pick off, it's very easy for the Execration heroes to pile in.
Yeah, whereas Reconyx is a phase of the game where I feel like they need to be very, very careful. If you give away one too many deaths, Roche is gonna just die. So you have to make sure you play cleanly, be more aware of... I think losing one support when you're running around the map is fine, you know, but two is not good.
Yeah. Make sure that doesn't repeat itself. Execration, they've got good amount of time within the next maybe 4 minutes to try and take this top Roche if that's what they would like to do.
Oh, Underlord. He's a very tanky boy.
I don't know if this is the target you want. Electric Vortex going into the Lotus route as well. Storm is in trouble, being shackled in place and still able to zip out, but they've already lost their two supports again. Omni Slash gonna be able to cut down the tree at least, but that is a major teamfight spell now not available for Reconyx. Still have the split available, thinking about using it. FPZ extremely tanky and should be able to pop it just to survive, but that is all that Reconyx are able to do. You've used everything in your arsenal, and now Execration can just reset and get ready for Roche if that's what they want.
Yeah, this is why the Wheeler is such a good last pick. They don't have any answers right now. No Orchid. They went for Agrims, like you said, on the Brewmaster. Stormy needs to buy a BKB, so they have literally zero ways of killing the Wheeler. Unless the Wheeler somehow messes things up completely for himself. And there's no way he dies in a team fight, and this is going to reward them with the Roche. I don't see how Reconyx can actually defend this without the split. Maybe In Your Dream can conjure up some magic there if he's around.
He's very far off the map though. He's not even in the same quadrant. Looks like Reconyx are still glancing over though, looking for some sort of a contest, still sending these Jug illusions in. But realistically speaking, unless the Lul goes in for a punch, which he does far too early. It's not your time yet, Mr. Tusk. And that is the opportunity window closing firmly on his head. Kashi will secure himself the Aegis.
Can't blame the guy, Mike. You miss all the opportunities you don't try, you don't go for.
Yeah, and sometimes when you go for the opportunities, you miss them anyway, which is the case of Delort in this particular instance. Pretty rough situation for the side of Reconics to be in. Just feels like they each need 1 or 2 more items to contend with what Execration have right now.
Whoa, what I miss?
And by no means Reconnect is in spot of bother. I think they are still fine in terms of like the game, the heroes, the matchups. They just need to kind of try to survive the next couple of minutes. Execution, they have a timing here with the Aegis, Desolator, Dragonlance stun, and the Weaver going for Linken's next.
Yeah.
But why is he going? Wait, he's going Linken's?
I guess for the Omni Slash or maybe the...
It doesn't block, right? Omni Slash, I remember it only blocks the first hit. Or did it change? So
I think you might be right. Like, it could just block the first hit, but my assumption is that he's preemptively preparing for something like an Orchid, or maybe just worried about the gaze.
But who? Nobody is blocking.
He's maybe predicting item builds that don't exist yet. You know what I'm saying? Jikroy still got a Manta to work with. Holding on to it till the very last moment. It's been already used, but now they're turning things around onto Mavis. Reconics bringing the numbers and punishing Execration. Even with their Aegis, it's not enough to teamfight, and Execration will pay the price. Try and escape through the Fiend's Gate. Brother, that is not happening, Tino. That was a very, very ambitious attempt there. Looks like they found the Weaver as well. FBZ bringing him down. I mean, they're starting to lose hero after hero on the side of Execration. This is not what you want to see if you're Filipino Dota fans. Still jumping around.
What? Bob?
Playing around with fire quite literally, but will manage to get himself out to the high ground and TP out. With the help of Shanks, they were able to at least take down Varij, but still, not the best situation for Execration given that they're the ones with the Aegis.
That's some Kung Lao magic right there, man. The Fire Lord. That's some Bob shit right there.
I can't believe he went for that play.
Why was he trying? Bro, he was trying to kill the Taz? Like, just a support? Like, did he need to risk his life there for that?
Nah, I'm sure he had it all boiled down to calculate. You know, he knew exactly what disables were used.
Sure. He knew.
He's a very calculated and composed man.
But we always talk about the risk-reward ratio, right? I think that was a terrible risk-reward ratio.
Well, you know, at that point, the reward had already gone down the drain, right? They were trying to make a move. We'll see it in the replay here. Starts out with what looks like an aggressive attempt on the Jikroy, but realistically speaking, they're just baiting them in the whole time. Now, you'll notice that Akashi, you know, a lot of these hits coming out, the physical damage is heavily nullified by both the Butterfly Timing and Varij's Frost Shield. So suddenly Jikroy doesn't seem as easy to kill, they lose numbers, and then
it's just a bad goal. It's just a bad goal, man.
Yeah, I agree.
Go on the jump like this, you know, they needed to start with the Ember because the Ember wasn't there yet. And then he uses the Manta, the spin, and then you can root him after. You have to force him to use his spin and Manta so the Train can root him after. If he doesn't go in with the Ember first and the Train is the one starting, I can't imagine any world that it will happen.
Akashi being set out upon. Able to time-lapse? No, not yet. Being clapped down first. Now FBZ, he has that split available. Will use it to try and stop the backline. They've got a snowball through. Lotus trying to save him though. Time-lapse comes out. Akashi still won't be able to survive. It's way too much damage. And Execration, they lose their carry. Trying to strike after that failed team fight around the pit. But now they've lost their own. Huge blunders coming out, and they're looking for Shanks as well. Should have the vision after this Glimmer expires. Very shortly, Gale Force not gonna save him here, as In Your Dream can zip through all that noise and get themselves more kills. Reconics, they have more than just stabilized the game. I'd argue to say they're ahead right now.
Yeah, they are very far ahead at this point. It's just 2k goal, but it's gonna be more in a bit. This matchup where the Weaver is supposed to dominate, and it's now looking like that was a huge blunder. He clicked his Shukuchi. Like, he needed to just click his R button and then use Shukuchi after. Because he used Shukuchi and then he used his time lapse, so he couldn't run away after the time lapse. He didn't have the move speed. So that was a big mistake there from Akashi. He was gonna live there, I imagine, if he did his button clicking correctly.
It's one of those things with the Weaver. I feel like this is a hero that is so punishing if you just mess up, right? Like if you mess, it's not very forgiving to mistakes. And Akashi, he's been playing a clean game so far, I have to admit, but that blunder really cost Execration a whole deal.
Nah, I think they're pretty close to losing the game already at this point with their heroes. It's just 3-4k deficit, but the deficit is even greater because of the late game scaling of the Reconic side. I think XKN, they're going to have one more fight in them. If they lose the next fight, the whole game is just going to be out of control. I think right now to see in a world where they can still maybe look for pickoffs on the map. It's going to be tough, you know. Storm has BKB, so you can't really root him anymore with the Underlord. I mean, Underlord has Crimson. He's pretty tanky in the team fights. But how are you killing the jug? You know, that's still the question that I'm going to ask. I'm going to present to Execration with the butterfly timing earlier. So your Weaver has a Lincoln's for whatever reason why he bought a Lincoln's. I think it's a choice where it's not good for this game. Yeah, because they don't have damage. I think damage is the problem. And if you buy Lincolns on Weaver, you're going to have very little damage to kill the jug.
And the thing is, you're killing these Reconic supports over and over, but you're not getting the big boys, right? FBZ in your dream, and Jikroy, they're surviving through all of these fights.
I don't freaking understand. He just bought the Lincolns for the Sinister's gaze, because nobody is buying a Lincolns. Orchid. It's just for the pull from Storm and the gaze from Lich.
I mean, to be honest with you, I feel like my only explanation is maybe he thought that there'd be an...
Where's G?
the world stage. I'm sure the boys are overwhelmed and happy. I'm sure that, you know, Mind Control, it's his time back in the sun. And what a good way to do it. Definitely showing that they're the team with more range, more composure, and a better ability to bounce back than Glyph here today in this best of 5.
Yeah, I think the drafting has been really good. Like, I think especially in the last game, they kind of understood what needs to change, what heroes needs to be banned. They removed the Brewmaster. I think they evolved over the course of the series. They understood what heroes are important to contest, and they made adjustments. And I think they fully deserve to come away with this series victorious. You know, I think for Glyph, it was a hard-fought series, hard loss, but they got exposed. I think they have a smaller hero pool compared to Reconics, and certain issues with the team. I don't think they can change it because of the way the dynamics work on the team. So they're gonna have to try to figure out how they can change their draft to sort of like make the team win in different ways, right? Because for now, it seems like the only way that they're winning games is when Jackie has last pick and he gets the like overall strongest hero in a game and they can win through him. If that doesn't really happen and they don't have like a good hero for Zeal, like especially like his Brewmaster, like he doesn't also win them the games. You know, it seems like if Jackie is not in position to win them the game, the other two cores cannot really carry the game.
Yeah, when you have a team like that, it's like so much pressure on Jackie, so much pressure on, you know, you want to split the responsibility evenly, right? I think Winter, something you've said before, is the best teams in the world. It's never just one person carrying, not just the pause one. Everyone takes turns. Sometimes even the supports step up and get the job done. But this time round, it was just not to be for Glyph. They come back from Europe and they will stay in Southeast Asia for the near time being. Of course, they still have TI qualifiers to play for, but that is still a bit away. Some time to reset and relax and maybe just understand a bit better how they can approach these qualifiers, because they only get harder, right? Later down the line at TI, you're facing up OG as well. A lot more of these new stacks will have had time to practice and get better. You need to step your game up if you want to compete not just regionally, but on the world stage. As we'll take a final look at the brackets, how it's all shaken down. A really hard-fought grand finals, but Reconics will be your deserving winners and the representatives in Paris alongside OG. And they made such a run, right? They lost to Glyph in the upper bracket, and they managed to overcome their demons and beat them here in the grand finals. And that's a story and a half.
Yeah, what a story, you know, from Reconics. I think overall they are very, very stable. Like throughout the last couple of months, I think ever since January, February, they show that, like, even like if you compare them to OG, I feel like they look a lot more stable as a team. I think they've learned a lot, like throughout the qualifiers, throughout the LAN events that they've attended in Europe. I think if you compare them between January and February and now, they have improved a lot, even though the results might not be super impressive. But if you pay close attention to how they play as a unit, they have definitely risen a couple of levels compared to in January and February.
Yeah, that's for sure. I think there were a lot of concerns when they announced the coach change, right? From Sundar, who was their coach ever since the early days, even before they were Reconics, when they were tech-free gaming, and then now you bring in Mind Control. I mean, everyone's scratching their heads, right? You know, it's a household name, but when's the last time he coached? When's the last time he was even in Southeast Asia? Is he gonna understand what the boys want to do? Is he gonna try and bring new ideas? There were so many questions, but all of them will be answered in Paris, as Reconics will be your champions here in the Southeast Asia Close Qualifier League of Things, and Glyph unfortunately falls short alongside the other 7 teams that were eliminated, and that will be that. It's been a very long series, it's been a long day, but we've had a blast. Thank you so much for joining us, and we will see the rest of you in Paris later in the year, or at least from a month from now, not so much later into the year, for the best Dota 2 you'll see for at least the next few months, and the nice end to the season. Dota 2 at EWC is happening start of July. You won't want to miss it.
Baby, can you myself on the night shift, outside, yeah. Taking over control, can you feel it? Our bodies moving closer, is it real? Trying to lose myself on the night shift, outside, yeah. Baby, can you feel me? Come and try it. I'm ready to move for the night, yeah. Trying to lose myself on the night shift, outside, yeah. Taking over control, can you feel it? Our bodies moving closer, is it real? Trying to lose myself on the night shift, outside, yeah. Baby, can you feel me? Come and try it. I'm ready to move for the night, yeah. Trying to lose myself on the night shift, outside, yeah. Taking over control, can you feel it? Our bodies moving closer, is it real? Trying to lose myself on the night shift, outside, yeah. Baby, can you feel me?
Gdzie idziemy?